This area encompasses 8 counties across South Texas. There are the 4 Valley counties in Hidalgo, Cameron, Starr, and Willacy, plus 4 additional counties in Brooks, Jim Hogg, Zapata, and Webb County. They serve approximately 440,000 children across that area, and approximately 85% of them are economically disadvantaged. With us today, we have from the State Board of Education, Mr. Ruben Cortez, and we also have from McAllen ISD, the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. J.A. Gonzalez. And Dr. Gonzalez will be speaking on behalf of the superintendents in the Region 1 area because he was blessed with the Region 1 Superintendent of the Year Award last summer. After each gentleman issues some remarks, some of which will be in Spanish for our Spanish viewers and Spanish media, we will have a Q&A session with the reporters here at the auditorium, followed by an additional Q&A session with reporters on Zoom. Our first speaker represents District 2 on the State Board of Education, where he has served since 2012. He is a businessman from Brownsville and is a former member of the Brownsville Board of Trustees. He represents citizens in 17 Texas counties. Mr. Ruben Cortez.
Good afternoon. I'm Ruben Cortez, and I represent South Texas on the Texas Board of Education, as he mentioned, which includes part of Region 1 and all of the Rio Grande Valley. Today, I'm joined by superintendents from across the region, which make up the 38 districts across the 8 counties from Laredo to Brownsville. According to the UTRGV, as of December 10th, there are roughly 80,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Starr, Hidalgo, Willacy, and Cameron counties alone. That's not including the far west part of Region 1, which encompasses the Laredo area. We know that this virus is dangerous. We know that it's spreading. We know that it's likely to get worse after the holidays. Today, we've come together to ask the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, to approve a region-wide plan designated to protect the health and safety of students and staff when schools resume in January. We all agree that protecting our students and staff and their families has to be the #1 priority. Let's say it in Spanish now for the Spanish media. Buenas tardes, soy Ruben Cortez, representante al sur de Texas en la Junta Estatal de Educación, que incluye Región 1 y todo el Valle del Río Grande. Hoy me acompañan superintendentes de toda la Región 1, que componen de 38 distritos en 8 condados desde Laredo hasta Brownsville. Según UTRGV, hasta el 10 de diciembre, aproximadamente 80,000 casos confirmados de COVID-19 en los condados de Starr, Hidalgo, Willacy y Cameron. Esto no incluye los totales en Laredo. Sabemos que este virus es peligroso. Sabemos que se va a extender y probablemente exponer más durante estas semanas de las vacaciones. Hoy nos hemos reunido para pedirle al comisionador de educación, Mike Morath, que apruebe un plan para toda la región diseñada para proteger a la salud y la seguridad de nuestros estudiantes y el personal de las escuelas cuando las escuelas se regresen en enero. Todos estamos de acuerdo que proteger a nuestros hijos, nuestro personal y a sus familias tiene que ser la prioridad #1 en la región y en el estado. Ahora voy a Mark, I guess this is where Dr. Gonzalez can kick in.
All right, thank you so much. And Dr. Gonzalez, he oversees a district rich with state and national recognitions. And in the fall of 2020, he became the Texas Superintendent of the Year and is now in the running for the National Superintendent of the Year Award. An educator for 25 years, he has served as McAllen ISD Superintendent since 2016. Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mark. First and foremost, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here for this very important press conference. I would like to thank my fellow Region 1 superintendents, my colleagues In Region 1, we have outstanding superintendents. As I was looking up at the screen, I couldn't help but feel this sense of pride because I have the honor to work with some of the best superintendents in the world. I wish that all of you could get to know my colleagues. They do a tremendous job in leading their districts. They do a tremendous job in ensuring that their children reach their full potential and that their children, regardless of circumstances, receive a world-class education. So I'm very, very proud to be part of the Region 1 superintendents, and I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of our team. I'd also like to thank Mr. Ruben Cortez for all that you do, sir, with regard to the State Board of Education, being a member for District 2. You do a lot for us. Thank you for listening to us and helping us and always being there for us. We appreciate you. To the Region 1 Service Center, thank you all very much for everything that you do for us as superintendents, and thank you for helping us prepare this press conference. Thank you for helping us organize the letter and getting signatures and doing everything that we needed to do. Our Region 1 Service Center does a tremendous job in supporting us, and that's why I believe with my whole heart that our region is a high-performing region because, number one, we have great superintendents, great school boards, but we have a service center that supports us, and we appreciate them very much. I'd also like to thank school board members across the region. To all of our school board members, thank you all very much for everything that you do in working with your superintendents and your school districts to ensure that your respective school district runs at its full potential. Our success as a region would not be possible without the tremendous school board members that we have. And finally, to Commissioner Mike Morath, sir, thank you for always listening to us and going the extra mile for us. Thank you for being flexible with us and giving us an opportunity to lead in these difficult times. The primary goal of our collective effort as Region 1 superintendents is to respectfully request that our commissioner, that Mr. Mike Morath, who leads the Texas Education Agency, approve a waiver to implement what we call the COVID-19 campus attendance plan. Today, we collectively submitted a written waiver request as Region 1 superintendents for the Texas Education Agency, specifically Mr. Mike Morath, our commissioner, to consider. And this letter came from Region 1 and had signatures of superintendents from across the region. In our letter, we write, this is a portion of it, school districts and charter schools located in Region 1 counties that experience a hospitalization rate of 15% as reported by the Texas Department of Health Services will take steps to implement this plan as a minimum framework no later than Monday, January 4th, 2021, and for the following 20 days of instruction. All school systems will continue to offer remote instruction for 100% of families. At the same time, rapid COVID testing will be made available for those priority students who choose to attend on-campus instruction, because we know as superintendents that there's some students who have a family dynamic where it may be a situation where both parents work and they need to attend school face-to-face. We'd offer that option. Or if a student has specific educational needs, we would offer that option. But what we do want in this waiver is the ability to go 4 weeks and receive all of our state funding with the option of giving 100% remote instruction. That's important to us because we don't know what the future holds after the break. And we want to make sure that we can be nimble and quick and make decisions when we come back from winter break that we can do depending on the reality of our specific districts across the region. We want to have this done. And we make this request for the safety and protection of our students and staff. Respectfully, Region 1 superintendents.
And Mr. Cortez, did you want to close this out?
Yeah, our public schools are the backbone of our community, and we have to protect them. And that starts with making the health and safety of our students and staff our top priority. So today we're urging Commissioner Morath to approve this plan and help us keep our community safe. To all of the superintendents that collaborated on this, I want to thank you for your openness to come together and realize that we're stronger together when we make this ask of our state. And so we're hoping that Commissioner Morath takes this waiver that was submitted today and gives us a response before we close for the holidays on Friday, so that these hardworking professionals can go back to their teams and establish the appropriate plans and protocols in the event of a spike or a surge during the holiday break. I'm going to say it in Spanish now. Nuestras escuelas públicas son la columna fuerte de nuestra comunidad y tenemos que protegerlas. Y eso comienza con hacer la seguridad de los estudiantes y de los personajes que trabajan en nuestras escuelas nuestra máxima prioridad. Le urgimos al comisionador que apruebe este plan y nos ayude a mantener nuestras comunidades seguras. Solo estamos pidiendo al comisionador que no solamente apruebe el plan que estamos ofreciendo de parte de los superintendentes de la región, sino que les dé el suficiente tiempo avisándoles antes que salgan a las vacaciones este viernes. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. We'll now open it up to the local media that are here at the McKay Auditorium. You're welcome to come forward. We want to capture the audio for our live stream on Facebook. So we're going to use my microphone. Just hold up your hand. I'll come to you and you can ask your question. Or you're welcome to come a little bit closer. I see Mr. Jimenez back there and Mr. Wilson. Any questions for the media before we go to the Zoom link? Yeah, Mr. Wilson, let me come over to you.
Oh, okay. Hi, gentlemen. You know, over the past few months, districts have rolled out their own response plans to COVID by the ream, it seems like. Why do y'all feel that we need a Region 1 wide plan, and what differentiates it from those district plans?
Well, one of the things that we did is we met as Region 1 superintendents to synergize and to make sure that we understood that we all have different challenges, but we all have one common denominator, and that is that we don't know what's going to happen over the winter break. So if there is a spike, the intent was that we have the flexibility when we come back from winter break to not have to submit a waiver, to not have to go to our board for approval, to already have it in our back pocket. Should we have a situation where a particular school district feels that having a 4-week waiver with 100% remote instruction would be beneficial, that they would be able to do that. So it's just in sake of time that we believed as superintendents and coming together with Mr. Cortez that a waiver would be the most effective way to do that, and right now would be the most effective way to get it done.
Yeah, and if I can add it, you know, it's important. What we do know is that we can't control human behavior. And we know that when public schools close, there may be mass groups gathering on the 24th and the 25th. There may be mass groups gathering in the 31st and the 1st. And if right after the 1st, they're supposed to come into our schools 3 or 4 days afterwards, you know, what I would hate to happen in any of our schools is that these numbers continue to rise throughout the region, is for that to cause a super spreader event at any one of our campuses. We don't want that. And for the health and safety of our students and our public school employees, I think this is a very prudent thing. You know, I'm very proud to have worked with all these superintendents to have them work together to put this together as a regional approach. Because what we know is that some of them individually have asked about their reopening plan to be modified, and he's already rejected some. So we believe that the best possibility of getting the commissioner to say yes is through a regional approach.
Gentlemen, we have a question from a reporter from NBC 23 and CBS 4.
Yeah, Dr. Gonzalez, I just wanted to know specifically, are there any specific plans for when you immediately come back, whether there's a spike or not, to protect staff and students?
Well, one of the things is we've been executing specific plans since COVID-19 hit in March. That's why I want to commend my fellow superintendents and their school boards in every district across Region 1, because this isn't anything that we planned for when we came into the school year. So with regard to contact tracing, with regard to logistics and how we're delivering instruction now, with some of our instruction being face-to-face and some of it being remote, the quality is still there across districts in Region 1. So with regard to a plan, the plan now is that we have to be prepared for what we don't know could potentially happen after being off for 2 weeks. It's just going to be a matter of, can we have 100% remote instruction for our students and still receive funding? And for those parents that are listening to this saying that, well, what does it mean for families at work? And what does it mean if my child has a specific need? Then we know that we already have systems in place at every school district across Region 1 to provide in-school experiences for students as well. So with regard to plans, our superintendents across the region have been planning in a world-class way.
Now a question from Ms. Hampton from NBC 23 and CBS 4.
Hello, I I was just wondering how many school districts out of the region have participated in the resolution that Mr. Cortez has made?
I don't have the exact number, but what I can say in looking at the letter that I signed, it's the vast majority. But we do have a copy of the letter that'll be here if it's not already here, and you will be able to see specifically who signed.
This is Mr. Wilson again from the monitor.
So, gentlemen, over the past few months, the return to school date, it keeps getting bumped back, bumped back. Do y'all think at the end of this 4 weeks, is that going to be the end of the story, or do you think we might return and seek another waiver or some other delay?
The one thing that we've been talking about as superintendents is that we're taking things one day at a time. That's the only way you can take things during a world pandemic. It's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the old world. But when you throw in a world pandemic and you throw in a virus that we don't completely understand, it would be difficult to say that we wouldn't come back for another 4-week waiver after these 4 weeks. It just depends.
Yeah, I would agree. It's very difficult to tell what would happen after that. But what we do know is that people are likely to congregate over Christmas and New Year. I think the next major holiday it wouldn't be until February after that. So hopefully we can slow the spread if the commissioner grants this and our schools are able to do majority remote instruction, at least for the first few days or week or so or more, to mitigate any potential spikes or surges that may occur on our campuses.
Here's Mr. Wilson again from the monitor.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
You know, right now, gentlemen, there's students back at Valley schools. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands. There's protections in place. Would y'all say, in your opinion, those have worked? Or, I mean, what's the case with, cases in school where there's students at school right now?
So we were talking as superintendents, Region One superintendents, as I've mentioned, we met yesterday, and one of the common themes was that the contact tracing on our campuses is working. A lot of the spread that we're seeing is community spread. Our teachers and our staff across Region One in our schools are doing a very good job of social distancing, doing a very good job of making sure that they protect themselves with regard to facial coverings. And I know that right now, Mr. Cortez and I are about 15 feet away. This is why we don't have our masks on. But if you look at the logistics and what school districts are doing across Region One, I would have to say that those are working very, very well. But anytime you're dealing with a virus, it's hard to predict what could happen. So that's why, to Mr. Cortez's point on we can't handle or we can't control human behavior outside of the school system, I think that Region One superintendents and school systems across the region are doing an excellent job controlling human behavior within our walls.
Yeah, and it's clear that our schools weren't designed to be in a pandemic situation, and yet every one of these educational leaders that's here and some that weren't able to join us and Dr. Gonzalez are doing the very best that they can, and the work that they're doing is remarkable. And we're just as limited in what they can do with the resources that the state gives. As you all are aware, the state kept about $1.3 billion of CARES Act money. And so they're doing the very best that they can to make sure that public safety of our students and staff is paramount. And that's why they've all come together asking the Commissioner of Education to grant them this. And they're not saying give it to us. They're saying give this to us if we reach these levels. We're not saying today we're going to close tomorrow if you approve it. If we get there, and we hope that we don't. We hope that people behave the right way. We hope that they don't congregate. We hope that we can mitigate and slow this coronavirus in the Rio Grande Valley.
And now a question from Mr. Jimenez.
Yeah, so I know you can't control what students do outside of the classroom, but is there any message that is being given to them about, maybe not trying to congregate, at family gatherings, what have you?
One of the things that we're focusing on is the 3 W's, and that would be wear your mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. That's something that I believe research is showing that the best way to prevent is to keep your distance. And if you're going to be within a 6 foot, span, that you need to wear your mask and you need to wash your hands. But it is very difficult to control what individuals are doing in their private life. I think that this is more of a community effort from a collective impact standpoint. It's going to take all stakeholders. And I know that every city across the Rio Grande Valley is working and doing their very, very best. And I can assure you that our superintendents in Region 1 are doing their very best to send out messages to their students and their staff. But to everybody out there listening, it's going to take a team approach. It's going to take all of us working together to make sure that we do our individual part so that collectively we benefit. But there's no silver bullet. There's just, it's human behavior. And the only thing that we can truly control is ourselves.
As far as, there are some teachers that do have some concerns about coming back after the break. So any message to them and to also parents about the safety when they return?
That was one of the things that we talked about with regard to my colleagues. One of the things that we're asking Commissioner Mike Morat to consider is the waiver for students. And we agreed as superintendents that we would take it on a district by district basis with regard to what we were going to do with staff. We're all in different realities. We're all in different situations, a different spread. It's a big region. So we didn't want to create something standardized around staff. But what I can say is that we're all going to do what's in the best interest of our district and the safety of our staff as we move forward.
We have time for one more question. Anyone? Okay, we're good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. That concludes our live stream on Facebook Live on McAllen ISD Facebook, and we'll resume in a few minutes with the Zoom call.
Mark, one thing before we do go out, I wanted to give one big shout out to our superintendents in Region 1. Once again, I see them up there. How about a round of applause for all of our superintendents? I have the best colleagues in the world, and we have powerhouse superintendents in Region 1. So please know, Mr. Mike Morat, that we're a group of superintendents that put our heart and soul into what we're doing. I have the best colleagues in the world, and we're going to do our very best to protect our staff and our students. Thank you.